How's it going, everybody? I'm Jonny Goes Hard here at the Fjord Cold Plunge headquarters, about to get in and do a little micro interview for you guys. Let's get into it. Water's gonna go everywhere. Is that okay?
Oh, heck yeah.
Okay. Always mentally prepare yourself.
All right, baby, let's do this. Let's do this.
Into Norwegian fashion, 3, 2, and... All right, let's do it. Get in here. Feels nice.
Jonny, welcome to the plunge.
This feels incredible. Reminds me of Norway.
You spent some good time in Norway.
I spent quite a bit of time. If you don't know, death diving originated in Scandinavia, in Norway.
Yeah, I didn't know that.
Yeah, it's an incredible sport. I'm one of the few Americans that can say that they're a professional death diver. It's just been an absolute blessing to be able to go on this career path for now. Obviously, it's not a full-time job yet, but maybe one day. Anytime I'm in some cold water, it brings back good but very cold memories.
Yeah, this is getting a good chill right now on me. What is death diving? And then how did you get into the sport?
Yeah, totally. Death diving is a kind of a combination of some aspects of skateboarding, some aspects of obviously high diving, and maybe a little bit of WWE thrown in just for good measure. You have to be a pretty high level athlete. You definitely need to be able to handle some heights. You need to have good body control. It involves a lot of flipping, a lot of spinning, but the thing that differentiates death diving from other sports, or other types of diving, I should say, is that you fall towards the water like you're going to belly flop, right? Your whole body is kind of open and flat towards the water, and at the last second, you close into we call it a shrimp. You basically punch the water and put your feet together at the same time. And it protects your head, it protects your chest, but sometimes you'll still get a little bit of a sting on your forearms, but it comes with the territory.
Wow. I would think that you'd be pretty sore after doing some of the higher death dives.
Definitely.
Does the impact take a toll?
It definitely does, especially when you get up higher. Death diving competitions are generally done between 10 to 15 meters, which is 30 to 50 feet. I've done some that are a little bit bigger. I have buddies. One of my good friends, a Frenchman named Combe, shout out to Combe. Combe, I love you. He holds the record right now with, I think, actually, no, he doesn't. He held the record until a couple of months ago with a 130-foot death dive.
Jeez.
And recently, another guy from Norway, his name's Ken Storns, he just did a 40-meter death dive.
I follow Ken Storns.
Yep, yeah, he's a legend. I've had the pleasure of meeting him a few times. He was one of the judges at the last Death Diving World Championships.
Wow.
But yeah, it's a sport that requires a lot of attitude. The judges are definitely looking for people that have a little bit of what we call steez, which is just kind of like throwing your personal flair into whatever tricks you're doing.
Yeah.
I'm starting to shiver already, man.
Yeah, me too. This is great.
I love it.
Then how did you get into the sport?
I was on YouTube in maybe 2016 or 2017, and I've always kind of been into fringe sports. I like disc golf, I like ultimate frisbee, I don't know, just, sports that maybe you don't see on ESPN1 all the time. I grew up playing soccer, which, in the US is not the biggest sport. But yeah, I was on YouTube one day and I saw just a compilation video of one of the world championships from, I think, 2015 or 2016. Was
it a DODS?
Yes, yeah, it was a death diving compilation. And I saw it and I was just like, this is the coolest thing that I've ever seen in my life. I, kind of knew about it then for a couple of years, and then maybe in 2019, when I was in college, one of my buddies brought me to a little cliff, like a 20-foot cliff, and I was kind of like, I think I'm gonna try that. Tried it out, didn't really take it seriously. Fast forward to 2020, COVID hits. I'm so bored. I got nothing to do.
Whoa.
My parents have a pond in their backyard with a tree right by it. And so me and my buddies, we're bored, we got nothing to do. We're like, let's build a tower and just try to death dive. So we built a tower, we started death diving, and we, kind of thought it was a joke. We would kind of kick around the idea of like, man, how crazy would it be if one day we got to go to Norway to compete? We ended up going to a US death diving competition hosted by the Cliff Cruise in 2020 in Arizona. That was the first time I had a chance to do competitive death diving, and I fell in love with it. And ever since then, I've just been chasing the sport. A couple months later, I hosted the first ever officially recognized death diving event in the U.S. at my parents' backyard.
Oh, wow.
And yeah, it's just been up from there.
I think I saw a older video on your Instagram from the lake at your place, jumping off the platform.
Yes.
Where you did, I don't know how many, maybe 4 twists.
And did I belly flop?
And belly flop.
Oh, yeah.
Straight horizontal on the water.
That is that's the worst wipeout I've ever experienced by far. When I hit the water, I had a vivid flashback of a dream I used to have when I was like 3 years old. I hadn't thought about it in years, and as soon as I hit the water, that was just the thing that snapped into my head. I didn't get knocked unconscious, but I definitely wasn't all there. But I was able to swim myself out. I got to shore, and if you can hear in the back of the clip, all of my friends were so used to, like, you know, just seeing everyone be okay that none of them really checked on me. They were all just laughing. So I'm like in the water struggling to get out, and everyone in the back is just cheering and laughing. But it's a good memory to look back on for sure.
Wow, that was probably the most painful looking thing I've seen.
It was the most painful thing I've ever done. It was terrible. But yeah,
awesome.
I think I got away with a couple of bruises and a sore body for a couple of days, but no serious injuries.
What's the adrenaline rush like? I mean, is that a big part of what drives you?
You know, the adrenaline definitely kicks in, especially during competitions. I love competition. I'm a competitor by nature, but the adrenaline definitely is needed, just because you're throwing yourself off of, you know, high places, and you're doing it in a way where if you don't close the right way, you're going to hurt yourself. I mean, it's called death diving for a reason.
Right.
But I would say that the adrenaline drives me, but also just getting to jump with my friends. It's fun to push each other to kind of get to a certain level. But
right.
Yeah.
Right. And as we talked about earlier off camera, you know, I found you through following and meeting John Pritchard, Johnster.
Yes, Loch Ness Johnster.
Loch Ness Johnster, and Ryan Bean, and some of those guys kind of in the community. Tell us a little bit about, you know, it's one thing to death dive at your lake in Dallas, Texas.
Right.
It's another to go over into the frigid waters of Norway.
Oh yeah, it's night and day difference. First off, the level of competition there is just different. In the U.S., I'm definitely one of the better death divers. I'm probably top 5. In Norway, I'm like middle of the pack. You go to any pool in Norway, and every kid from 5, 10, 15-year-olds, they're all death diving. That's just what the thing to do is over there. But aside from the competition, the thing that I noticed the most, which is funny, we're sitting in here talking about it, but is the difference in the water temperature.
Yeah.
Because when you're in Texas and you're swimming all day, it's 100 degrees outside, the water's 80. It's not a factor when you're jumping. You're not thinking about, I need to be mentally prepared for the water to be cold. And then you get over to Norway, you start jumping, and I'm hitting the water, and I'm just like, I couldn't breathe. My head would tingle. I felt like I was panicking. I think after my first foray into Norway, which was in 2022, I came back from that experience. I loved it. I got knocked out in the first round of the Death Diving World Championships, but it was an honor to get over and represent the U.S. I was one of the first U.S. competitors. It was just, I loved it. Loved everything about it. But I came back and was like, I need to get mentally prepared for this. I want to keep doing this at a high level. So I started cold plunging. I started with my friend Reagan Popoff, who's another Dallas native, one of the best death divers in the world. Me and him got second and third place. He got second, I got third place in the World Championships last year. But we would do cold plunges in friends' pools, in my pond, backyard, anywhere. Just trying to get some cold water exposure so that when I go back over there now, it's not really a factor. It's so funny that we're in a cold plunge like this right now, because I'm used to just kind of finding, a pond is not as fun to get into at midnight in February to find that cold plunge. I would much rather have a nice tub like this. But it is a serious part of competitive death diving, and I would say diving in general, any water sport, but getting mentally prepared for the cold is something that, especially southern state, people that live in warm climates don't think about, but it's serious, because you can hit cold water, and if you don't know what you're getting yourself into, your body will lock up, you'll start feeling like you're drowning. It's definitely intense in Norway, knowing that, like, okay, I'm already, jumping off of a 35-foot cliff, 40-foot, 50-foot, I'm hitting the water, that's already a lot, and then you got to think about, and it's going to be freezing cold when I do it. But I love it. It's a great time.
It's so exciting to watch. It's also funny because we were talking earlier about you cliff jumping in Norway, cliff jumping in the Nordic, regions.
Yes.
And we're in a fjord.
Yeah, I think I'm probably
the artificial fjord.
The artificial fjord, which is the water feels about the same. Right now, maybe this honestly might be a little bit warmer.
Yeah,
I mean, when you jump, especially in winter, when you go during the summer, it's cold, but it's bearable. But I've gone to Norway in the winter before and jumped where, it's snowing and the water is 32, 31. It's like right there at that moment. And it just, it takes your breath away, even if you are prepared for it. But again, that's where planning ahead helps, because I know, like, okay, my breath's going to go away for a second. Just keep my head up. Take that deep in and out breath. Just remind yourself that, you control your body doesn't control you.
Amen.
And you're good. just kind of set your mind to it and get after it.
Just having met you and being able to follow you from a distance.
Yeah.
I know that DJ is a part of your life.
Oh yes.
I know that faith in God is a big part of your life.
Absolutely.
Talk to us a little bit about what maybe your faith has meant in your experiences and meeting all these people around the world and doing your thing.
Totally. I'm so glad you give me an opportunity to talk about it, because I am a firm believer in Jesus Christ. My faith is the whole reason I do anything. I think that my first and foremost mission in life, just like I believe every other Christian is to spread the gospel and the good news. But I think that in doing that effectively, you need to be a kind and decent person who loves other people, who listens to other people's perspectives. There are some things that I will never change my mind on, but I will still be friends with people that I disagree with. And that's okay. I don't think Christians should be scared to go out into the world and experience real life.
Right.
And again, I believe that the Lord has gifted us with these incredible bodies that can do so much. And I feel like so many people don't tap into that potential because they never know, or they're scared. But I definitely believe that Christ calls us to live not by fear, but by faith. Part of the reason that I want to be the best death diver in the world is so that when I, get on these podiums and people look and they say, well, what motivated him to do this? I don't want people to see it and go, he's doing this for the money or the fame. I always want to use my platform, no matter how big it is or how small it is, to glorify God. And at the end of the day, following him has brought me to the greatest places on earth. I'm living my dream. I'm a full-time DJ. I get to be a professional death diver. I got a beautiful wife. Life is good when I'm following the Lord. But
Amen.
yeah, it's a good time.
That's so cool. Well, thanks a lot, man. Anything else that you want to talk about?
If you guys are watching this right now, definitely come check out Fjord Cold Plunge. And to all my maybe wannabe death divers or people that are thinking about doing it, I highly suggest doing some cold water training, because if you want to get as good as the pros, you got to be ready for some cold water.
Well, man, thanks for being on Freezin for a Reason, episode 5. It's a pleasure.
Always a good time. I love cold plunges. This is the best time. Shout out Fjord Cold Plunge. If you need a place to train, this is the spot. Or buy your own. That's probably better. But yeah, appreciate you, man.
Yeah,
Thank
man.
you.
See you.
Woohoo!